Welcome to SEC Football Live. Better late than never. That's Trey Wallace. I'm Braden Gall here on a Thursday. I am back stateside. I'm a little foggy. My head's still swimming with jet lag, but it's good to be here. Brought to you, of course, by M.L. Rose, your neighborhood pub. I assume where all my fellow ESPN employees will be hanging out this weekend. That Gameday is in town for what might be the biggest college football game, maybe in Vanderbilt history? ? We'll get into that. Obviously, we've got the officiating controversy. We have a head coaching search at Florida now officially underway. Will it be Lane Kiffin or Eli Drinkwitz? We'll discuss. And that's Trey Wallace. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Getting through the week. Thank you, NBA, for following up the following day after the NCAA said, athletes can bet on pro sports. And then bam, the NBA's caught up in it. Congratulations to the NCAA. And then, we got coaching searches going on and Vanderbilt getting ready to host a massive game. Like, it's just wild. It's wild times.
We have been gambling as a species on athletic outcomes for thousands of years. Yes. Like all the other victimless crimes that I'm going to say, like lowercase conservative people in this country, like lowercase c, try to tell us that we can't do victimless crimes, like drug use and gambling and alcohol. Right. That was tried to, they tried to prohibit alcohol. It doesn't work. You cannot change human behavior. People are going to gamble. People are going to drink. They're going to search out mind-altering substances that we've been using for thousands of years. And get this, Trey, they're going to want to have premarital intercourse as well.
Right. Yeah, right. I mean, just throw it all on the table, man. We're good. Like, just put it all out there. Like, it happens.
Teach your kids to be smart. You just got to be smart about it. Anyway,
I
don't know.
I almost had to use an offshore account last week because I forgot to place my bets again when I crossed the Alabama state line. So, I mean, it is what it is. Whatever.
Eddie says it's. I know it's a football show, a football SEC podcast, but Tony Vitello is out of my conference in his last regular season loss to the GOAT, Tim Corbin. Here's what I would say to Vanderbilt fans, though. I think it's bad for the sport that Corbin and Vitello aren't going at each other. I think it was great for the game. It was great for baseball. Baseball needs the Gino Auriemma, Pat Summitt thing to keep the casual fan coming back to it because it's a great rivalry, two great teams. And let's be honest, Tim Corbin had lost a step, frankly, and Tennessee was better. Eddie?
Yeah. I mean, like it like I always categorize Tennessee as like the NWO of college baseball. Like they just, make it seem like that whole thing with Vitello going to the Giants. Like maybe we'll discuss it for like 5-10 minutes here, but like that was
you can discuss it for like one sentence. What do you want to say?
He was torn and it could have gone in a different direction. Congrats to Tony.
You can't win World Series at the highest possible level in the SEC. You just can't do it. It's not possible.
Right. Besides going to win it in Omaha.
You can't win. No, that's not a World Series. That is a college World Series. It's just college teams in a college sport that's very limited. If you want to compete at you want to win a Lombardi Trophy, you can't do it at Alabama, Nick Saban. Okay.
Okay. My prediction. Here's my prediction on Tony Vitello. In 2 years, when he doesn't like being controlled in Major League Baseball, he will be back taking over for Dave Van Horn at Arkansas, and Knoxville will burn to the ground.
I don't disagree with you on that. I don't necessarily think it's the right decision from a career standpoint, but you cannot blame a guy for testing himself on the highest possible levels when he's when he's one of the best coaches in the college game. Like you can't.
I think it's awesome. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm an MLB guy because I'm not.
It's one of the best franchises in the world.
Right. But I would just personally rather watch the Cornhole Championship on ESPN Ocho than sit down and watch a whole Major League Baseball game.
Wow. Okay.
But I mean, look, I like college baseball. I don't know what it is. Like I can't watch an NBA game. Like I can't do it. Like it's just boring.
Can you watch a Missouri Vanderbilt football game?
Hell yeah, I'm going to be there. Well, let me rephrase that. I might be there. Might be there.
Hey, I might also be there. Maybe I'll see you there.
Right. But yes, I can definitely watch Missouri. But if you'd have told us before the season started that this game would have major CFP implications, I'd have probably called you batshit crazy.
Like you could argue that Brian Kelly's future is starting to hang in some of these outcomes for LSU.
Yes.
You could argue that the playoff implications of the Ole Miss Oklahoma game are absolutely hang. SEC championship implications, and neither of those games might have as much on the line as the Vanderbilt Missouri game because their resumes are not going to be there at the end of the year. And I think the winner of the Vanderbilt Missouri game, which I think Vanderbilt has a slightly better resume, and I think they might win because they're at home. But otherwise, like the winner of this game is in the driver's seat to get a playoff spot. And I think the loser is actually out. I don't think they have the resume the committees are going to like, even if they win out the rest of their games. I just don't think the loser, I think this might be it for one of these two teams. And I'm not trying to put too much weight on it here, but they don't have big wins. They don't have the resume that some of these other teams have.
I'll throw this at you, though. Vanderbilt could drop an SEC game the remainder of the year, like one of the games. I don't know, whatever. One of the games. Go to Texas and lose, but still be in the conversation for the CFP Final 12. Like I think with 2 losses, if that loss came to Alabama, or let's just say Texas for whatever,
but
they could be in the conversation. Like,
I'm saying 10-2. I'm saying both of them at 10-2. But if the loser at 10-2 has to get over the other one again, like you can't that the winner has to lose twice, is what I'm saying.
Right. And all roads are leading to one crazy scenario, which is the final weekend of the regular season. Vanderbilt will travel to Knoxville, and that game will be for a CFP spot.
I don't know if Tennessee's good enough to beat
I meant for Vanderbilt,
Florida,
for Vanderbilt, not Tennessee.
Yeah, good. I thought you were going to say like 9-2 Tennessee versus 9-2 Vanderbilt winner.
No,
that's not crazy.
No.
That's not crazy though. Tennessee it's possible. So.
It's not crazy, but Tennessee has to go win in the swamp, and until they can do that, like whatever.
I think I'm older than you by a few years. But the last time that happened, it was my first year at the University of Tennessee, and we burnt couches in the fort because Travis Stevens ran for like 234 against Florida.
At that game. I was at that game.
And it was in November because of 9/11. So I
was at that game. It was actually the end of November because they had to play the SEC title game the following week because 9/11 had postponed it and all that good stuff. Yeah, that was a crazy game. I remember being there.
Wild stuff. But that's how long it's been. I am 43 years old. I've been married for over a decade. I have 2 children, and I was in college the last time Tennessee won at Florida. Anyway, M.L. Rose, everybody.
It's about the same damn time as Tennessee's won in Alabama. Good Lord, man.
M.L. Rose, everybody. We got a officiating controversy to get to. We got lots of stuff. But M.L. Rose, 7 great locations. So if you're coming to town, you're a Missouri fan, you're coming to town. I know there's a lot of Missouri people listening and watching. If you come to town, M.L. Rose, fantastic neighborhood pub. They have 7 locations all across Middle Tennessee. So no matter where you're staying, they've got one close to you. Fantastic vibes. Great place to watch any pregame football games on Saturday. You got NFL games on Sunday. You got happy hours and trivia all throughout the week. You got beer specials. You got wing specials. Wing wars still going on Sunday. Thousands and thousands and thousands of wings have been eaten, and we are tracking it right now at ML Rose. So make sure you go to one of those 7 great locations across Middle Tennessee when you come in to watch playoff-bound Vanderbilt Commodores host Gameday and the Missouri Tigers. 2 teams that are built very similarly, by the way, like rushing quarterbacks who like to be physical. Like it's just a lot of it's great. It's great. So
2 good defenses as well. So yeah, who's actually winning the wing war right now?
Tennessee is winning the wing war. We're a Tennessee market, it is what it is.
Well,
Dre says, "What's the name of this podcast?" SEC Football Live. All right, so we'll get to the officiating thing. Billy Napier's been fired by the Florida Gators. They come back and they kind of beat Mississippi State. The little dead. They don't want the dead cat bounce. As they say,
they almost lost that damn game, bro. I was watching. I was like, okay, good job, Jeff Lebby. I love you, Jeff, but dang it, man.
Major complaint about YouTube TV. I cannot watch the games when I'm overseas. It's kind of a bummer. But neither here nor there.
There's another bummer for that too. It's the 40-second delay on what's going on, and they get alerted on social media, and it ruins the end of the game for me. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. So Billy Napier's fired. I think what's fascinating to me, Trey, and we'll get into who, like you've said, Lane Kiffin all along. I think that's who they want. It's obvious that he's got the Spurrier vibes. Can he win easier at Florida than Ole Miss? I think there are some interesting debates about that.
Yeah,
I think the answer is yes, but I think there's some interesting things to consider. I think living in Oxford is far better than living in Gainesville. I know he's got a lot of ties to Gainesville with his ex-wife, and but there's a lot of people in Oxford that
father-in-law.
That's right. His family's all there as well in Oxford right now, the kids at least. Again, NIL I think is an interesting debate between Florida and Ole Miss because Ole Miss has been spending way over their weight. Florida, largely resource-wise, has always been under their weight of performance. They've always been able to overperform their stuff that they have from an infrastructure and resources and boosters and dollars. What's interesting to me about Billy Napier, Andrew, we are going to talk about the officiating thing. I think it's fascinating. Ken Williamson permanently suspended. I don't know what that means other than he got fired.
Let's just put it out there. Reportedly.
Well, exactly. We'll get to that. That was the last college football I've actually seen was the Georgia-Auburn game 2 weeks ago before I don't know if you guys know this. I went to Europe. So
I want to humble brag. Okay, whatever. All right, that's fine.
So I want to ask you, though, because what stands out to me about Billy Napier's time in Gainesville, we don't need to analyze sort of like where he failed and what he was good at. Like he was a pretty good CEO. He didn't manage the game well. Attention to detail, which is supposed to be his strong suit, wasn't really, two players with the same jersey and special teams mistakes. And like they got better last year, but they weren't good enough. And I'm fine with making the decision to move on for Billy Napier. No complaints here. But what I'm fascinated by is how far behind Florida kind of was from an infrastructure standpoint in general relative to the other big counterparts in the SEC, whether it was indoor practice facility, which is now built, whether it's NIL dollars, whether it's, all this stuff. And when Dan Mullen was fired, he wasn't recruiting. He didn't have all the things he needed to maybe win on the back end. Billy Napier got everything.
Yes.
He wanted all this stuff, graduate assistants and analytics departments and practice facilities and NIL dollars and collectives. And he did add more talent. But the coach that steps in today is going to step in now with so much more stuff there to help him succeed than Billy Napier did. And I'm not making an excuse here.
No.
But he got everything he needed and couldn't win, so they had to make a change. But that means the new coach should have everything he needs and a better roster situation than what Dan Mullen left. I'm fascinated by the fact that they gave him everything and he still wasn't able to find success.
I mean, he had 120 recruiting staffers. I mean, I'm joking when I say that, but no, I mean, he got everything. He got, remember when he first came in, he was like, we're going to replicate other staffs across the country. We're going to have the biggest rooms, meeting rooms, whatnot. Like we're going to be able to attack college football and every single facet. And, the thing I'll say about Billy Napier is really good guy. And I thought was a good CEO from Sunday to Friday night at midnight. When the clock struck midnight on Saturday, things changed when it came to in-game coaching. I think that the whole didn't hire an offensive coordinator type of thing, like I think that was a major talking point. And Scott Strickland even pointed it out. And sometimes you're just better as the head coach, as a CEO of an organization, of being able to run it and let other people delegate that. And so, like, he had what he needed when it came to NIL. He had what it needed when it came to facilities finally down at Florida. But at the end of the day, when you can't get it done and you're losing games and you're just not making much progress, like, let's just be honest. Like we did, sure, he had a win every now and then. It was like, okay, interesting. Maybe he's back to Texas. And then we come to find out the Texas offense is just horrid right now. So I just think overall, like it was time. You couldn't wait any longer, Auburn. And I think now that we look at it, they're swinging for the fences for the next hire. And you hit it on the head, nail on the head. Whatever, they're going to have everything they need. And I think that the boosters down there are also ready to spend more money when it comes to NIL and doing side deals and whatnot, because everybody wants to say, okay, well, the rev share, everything's going to kind of like level out over the next year. Okay, that's fine. But the folks I've spoken with, there's going to be side money involved and a good amount of it. Just is not much front loaded deals. That's what
there's no question. I think the program, if you're a Florida fan, you should be much more excited about where the program is today than the day Billy Napier got the job. That's all due. Billy Napier deserves the credit for some of that. Also, the boosters, the decision makers, all this stuff. And again, I think Dan Mullen was kind of the opposite of Billy Napier. Like, couldn't do all the stuff that was CEO, but was really, really good at scheming an offense and calling the right play at the right time on Saturdays. And so if you could form a human being out of Billy Napier and Dan Mullen, maybe they'd be really good. And then Andrew makes a good point here.
Mullen's comments, he ain't going back.
No, of course not. Andrew also makes a good point here. Ultimately, Napier was also screwed by impossible schedules. Very true. Resurrection of Tennessee, Florida State, and Miami programs, as well as the new models. I totally agree with all this stuff. That I think it's a combination, and it kind of feels like an NFL quarterback who gets drafted by the Jets. Like, I feel like Billy Napier will probably go somewhere else and be a good football coach somewhere else.
Arkansas.
I don't know about that.
Kidding. I'm sorry, Razorback fans. I'm kidding. Please don't hold that against me. I'm kidding.
So
I'm kidding.
that means how attractive is the job. I think it's eye of the beholder. If you think Penn State is better, I think Florida's a better job. You can win higher at Florida, but Penn State has some things that Florida doesn't in terms of and I don't want to. This is going to sound like an insult to Florida, but like it's not. It is a little bit more dedicated. The fans are a little bit more passionate. It's a little bit more cohesive of a spending thing, but they don't have the recruiting base and the history that Florida does. Correct. And so I think it's kind of beauty's the eye of the beholder. If you're from Pennsylvania, you may view Penn State as a better job. Either way, they are the best two jobs, and Florida should have their pick. Penn State and Florida should be the two teams deciding who the best two coaches are. And so who are they? And why will Lane Kiffin not be the head coach at Florida?
And why will Brian Kelly be the coach at Penn State?
That one I like. I like that one a lot.
No, I think if you put both helmets beside each other, like I think, and you just describe the program, the history of them, it'd be hard to differentiate. But I think Florida, in my opinion, might hold a little bit more leverage on that side, a little bit more weight. And don't hold that against me, Penn State fans. But you look at overall in investment. I think Penn State obviously is ready to kind of go all in per se. With somebody else besides James Franklin, and at the same time, I think Florida has all the tools that they need. Sure, there is some university problems to go around, whether that's the president, Scott Strickland, is what it is. And I think overall, though, when they finally opened the indoor practice facility, like it might be something as small as that, but let me tell folks out there, that was a problem for 15 years.
Yeah.
That you did not have that. And from a recruiting standpoint.
Which is stupid.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
Stupid.
And so, yeah, I think when you level these back and forth, I think these are the two jobs that you're swinging for the fences here. Now I'm curious to see which other big job is going to open up, because we are not done with the carousel yet.
No, I think the domino effect of Penn State and Florida will have an implication on other jobs that could affect people like, again, Hugh Freeze is still on the hot seat. Brian Kelly is entering that territory. I don't think he's there yet. Mark Stoops is stuck in a, loveless marriage.
$38 million hole. He doesn't care. He'll be stuck there until they pay him his money.
Right.
Who cares?
Like I have a feeling there's a Lincoln Riley move coming. A name that we don't know, a name that we haven't thought about, who leaves from Oklahoma to go to USC, which feels like it could be considered a lateral move, but like there's reasons why you could view USC as a better job than Oklahoma, especially back in the day. I like honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Lincoln Riley is the Lincoln Riley type move for one of these schools. And so, but I mean, they're all in on Kiffin first and foremost. And we argued at the beginning of the year, like Eli Drinkwitz is the guy I think is going to get the job, because I think they're going to try to go get Kiffin and they're not going to get him. And I think he's going to stay in Oxford for a number of reasons that we could argue is smart or stupid. And I think Drinkwitz would be silly to not go to Florida from Missouri. I think that is a bad decision to stay at Missouri. Now, I also respect all these coaches in 2024, 3, 4, and 5 that have decided, now I'm going to take stability. I'm going to take belief. I'm going to be Kurt Signetti and re-sign a deal at Indiana. I'm going to be Matt Campbell, and I'm going to say no to everybody. Like, there is something to be said about staying put, building something long-term. I get all of that. But Florida is a rare opportunity. And the gap between Florida and Ole Miss is smaller than the gap between Florida and Missouri, if that makes sense.
So my personal opinion on Kiffin, and hopefully there's some folks sitting around talking to him about this, Jimmy Sexton. There are 3 jobs that I think Lane Kiffin would take over Ole Miss if the situations were maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Alabama.
Alabama, LSU, Florida. Those are the three.
You're not talking NFL. You're just talking college.
I'm just talking college. He's not getting the Alabama job right now. He's not getting the Alabama job. I think, and I'm just throwing this out at you here. I love your opinion on this. Would Lane Kiffin punt on Florida because he knows LSU could be opening up in the next year? Because you'd have to wait, man.
That's a risky game. I think Brian Kelly is a better coach than James Franklin. And I think Brian Kelly could absolutely next year, the way big power programs can attract talent and spend money, I wouldn't be surprised if LSU is – I think LSU is just as likely to be a national championship contender next year as they are to be 6-6. And so I think that's a huge risk. Florida is an elite job on a certain tier that very few jobs are located at. Penn State's
and that's
another
why
one.
I just threw it out there. That's what we're
like
talking
personally,
anything can happen in college athletics right now. People hadn't figured it out yet.
Personally, would I much rather coach at LSU? I personally love the Cajun, Louisiana, Baton Rouge culture. Like, it is my favorite. Like, I love the food and the music and the people and the vibe and the energy. Like, it is a thing that I love. And I don't get any of those feelings about Gainesville as a city. It's just not my thing, man. So, like, if that matters, they both can win. If you put Nick Saban at LSU and at Florida, he's going to win the same number of championships, 6, as he did at Alabama. So if you're good, you can win at the highest possible levels. There's pressure at both. I think roster-wise and infrastructure-wise, they're both at kind of a similar situation because Florida's now upgraded under Billy Napier, all the things that we just talked about.
Agreed.
So I would prefer LSU, but that's a personal opinion, and we don't know. Like, Lane Kiffin right now, like, he can sit tight. He can see this thing through at Ole Miss, and if they go 10-2 every year, he's in no trouble.
Yes, and by the way,
you go 10-2 at LSU every year, eventually they're going to get pissed at you.
Right, and the folks that are talking about, a money play or whatnot, let me tell you something. Kiffin to Florida has nothing to do with money. Why? He's about to get paid at Ole Miss again. He'll be the top 5 highest ranked coach, pays coach in college football. He's going to get taken care of. Florida would take care of him. I'm just saying that
it's going to be Eli Drinkwitz. I'm telling you.
If you look at, there's something I've had in the past conversations with Lane about, the college football landscape. And I think here's something else that stands out to me that somebody brought up to me the other day. I was talking to a coach and they said, last year, Lane was pretty hell-bent on going to Florida when everything was going down with Billy during the losing streak, and you got boosters reaching out to Jimmy Sexton in Florida, and Kiffin gauging his interest to take the job. He was pretty prepared to take it when it opened, and Billy would, Scott Sherkin cut Billy Napier. So you've had it
after losing to Kentucky early in the season.
Yes, Kiffin has had a full year to think about the job at Florida. And so you do your own digging on it. It starts to waver a little bit is what I'm getting at here. Like you're starting to weigh Ole Miss, you're starting to weigh Florida. I'm not saying that anything turned him off in the last year. I don't know that specifically. But what I am saying is that this is not some new thing that Lane has to investigate and see if this is the right job for him, is what I'm getting at. Like, it's been set up on a tee for a year.
I think it is. It's exclusively personal preference.
Yes,
it is.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I would never have said this about Lane Kiffin 6 years ago, but I think this new version of Lane Kiffin he values things a little differently than he used to, and I think he values the things that make Oxford kind of special are what I think he values. And so the question is, and this is ultimately, like, can you win a national championship at Ole Miss in 2025 with 2025 rules? I don't think you can. I think you can build a great team. You can make the playoffs. You can contend. But to win 4 straight games, and this is why Brian Kelly left Notre Dame to go to LSU. If you want to win 3 or 4 games in the playoff, you have to be Ohio State or Georgia level of talent. And I don't know if you can get there at Ole Miss. And I think you can. We've seen for a number of coaches that can get there at Florida. And I think that ultimately is the decision he has to make. Do I want a little bit better life, a little bit more comfortable life, and maybe not win a national championship, or do I want to risk it for the fucking biscuit?
If Lane Kiffin were to realistic question here, if Lane Kiffin were to accept the Florida job, how many years would it take the Gators to actually be a national, like you just described, with Ohio State and others?
They would be good right away, I think. Now, are they national championship good? No, I'm going year 2.
Because he's going to infiltrate the portal. I mean, he's going to. I mean, okay, like I could see it,
but that is a matter of personal preference for him specifically.
That's exactly right. Does he want to get into that different realm of situation that it would be at Florida? And everything that he says, and I know it's Lane, and I get folks are infatuated with the social media stuff and the trolling and him talking about Oklahoma stealing signals the week of the Oklahoma game. But I'm actually complimenting them because they do really good film study. I know people get caught up in that, but you have to understand, and this is not just like, not promoting Lane by saying this. The guy is really different. He just got like that joking side to him still. Yeah. And he actually cares about the community in Oxford. And he also, I don't think Landry, his daughter, being at Ole Miss is going to prevent him from taking the Florida job this time around. No. Like it was just, she's grown. She's in Baton Rouge half the time anyways with what week. So what's the difference?
It's a very quick private jet flight to go back and see your family.
Exactly. And Knox, his son, is not even old enough yet to, he can be a high school quarterback in Florida just as much as he can be in Oxford. So there's
a level of anonymity that he has in Oxford that you don't necessarily get that comes along with a job that can win a national championship.
Agreed.
The spot, the magnifying glass, fishbowl, even in small college towns like Baton Rouge and Gainesville, there's a different level of scrutiny. The spotlights are brighter, the magnifying glass is more powerful. And at Ole Miss, there's about 10-15% of that. That same 10-15% is what keeps you from winning a national championship, in my opinion. But it's also what makes life a lot more fun to live for a guy who's a little bit weird and odd and likes to live it his own way. And so this is all about what he wants. Now, the question I have for you is, if Lane Kiffin says no, who's the legitimate target for Florida that can go out and win at the highest levels? And I don't even know if I trust. I think Eli Drinkwitz has done a spectacular job at Missouri. I don't know if he can go win a national championship at Florida. This is like Hugh Freeze. There was no. Everyone is like, oh, Hugh Freeze in Alabama slam dunk. I'm like, Hugh Freeze has never won anything.
No.
How many guys have actually won enough to prove that they belong at Florida? Nobody. It's a speculative pick for anybody else other than really just Kiffin or a Lincoln Riley type of hire where you go get somebody who's coached in playoff games.
I know Eli Drinkwitz is still agitated. You can tell with his comments about his time at Auburn. How I think he said something along the lines of they thought our assistant coaching staff wasn't good enough. But I'll throw something at you here. Hugh Freeze gets ousted at Auburn because John Cohen wakes up tomorrow morning and his car is having trouble, which was a dumbass analogy from him.
I don't know. I kind of like it. Like,
I mean, if your car
doesn't start, eventually you replace the car.
Okay, okay, I get that. Or you can just change a couple parts and everything's fine.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Would Eli Drinkwitz be a better fit at Auburn or Florida?
I don't know if he fits. I mean, he is a troll, but Florida likes its trolls. So I think Florida's the better fit, but I think coaching at Auburn is real hard.
Yeah.
It takes a Gus Malzahn time. I mean, on the personal, like, it's easy to win there. I'm talking on the personal, like, I think it takes a Gus Malzahn type of personality to go down there and win.
Yeah, I don't see Eli Drinkwitz going to hang out at the Waffle House after every game.
Exactly right.
Right, yeah. But there is an interesting scenario that could happen that would open up the Auburn job. And I'll just throw it out because I'm not reporting this. So don't go crazy on social media, folks. Yeah. What if Hugh Freeze said, okay, I'm going to reset my clock and I'm going to go take the Arkansas job?
I was thinking about that watching the highlight the other day, and I was like, that's stupid. I shouldn't think that.
I'm just saying. Go back to
Arkansas. If I'm Arkansas, I'm not hiring Hugh Freeze. I'm not hiring Hugh Freeze.
You gonna keep Bobby?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, who would take the Arkansas job right now? John Summerall's not. John Summerall's sitting around waiting for Ole Miss to open up when Lane takes the Florida job so he can take the Ole Miss job. or he's waiting to see what John Cohen's car troubles happen and potentially
John Summerall's in good shape. I think there's a long list. I think there's a longer list of like what's good. This is what I think is going to happen. These search firms and these ADs at places like Arkansas, not necessarily Florida and Penn State, but the next tier down.
Yeah.
They're going to go through looking for the hot, sexy name. Buster Faulkner, offensive coordinator, Georgia Tech. They're going to look for the hot, sexy name. They're going to get fed a bunch of names like PJ Fleck. Oh, he's got the high profile personality. His teams win. They just came off another dominating performance against Nebraska. Like, he's got a good record. Guys like PJ Fleck. Then there's another. Then what happens is you get to the third tier, and that's where all the just really good quality head football coaches are. It's guys like Willie Fritz at Houston. They're a little bit older. They're not sexy, but they're so good at coaching football. Lance Leipold at Kansas, the Matt Campbells at Iowa State. Like, there's so many guys that are just good old ball coaches, and they're like Kurt Cignetti. And I think if you can find the Kurt Cignetti at Arkansas, that's the guy you got to go find. Not the sexy coordinator, not the retread, not like just hire the boring, good-ass football coach. That's what Arkansas needs to do.
Okay, Arkansas can do that. But I think we're both in agreement here that Penn State and Florida have to have home run names that everybody knows around college football.
Sure.
Period. Like, no offense to Alex Golesh, because I think Alex Golesh will be a good coach. He's already a good coach, but you know what I mean by this. In a major conference like the SEC or Big Ten one day, I do think he can have that. But Florida fans and boosters are not going to be satisfied with something like that. The same way Penn State fans aren't going to be like, I don't think Matt Campbell moves the needle for Penn State fans the way that he would have 3 or 4 years ago.
But you know who would do a really good job at Penn State? Matt Campbell.
Brett Campbell. Yes, Matt Campbell would do a great job.
Yeah.
He would do a great job at Penn State, and he would win.
Yep.
But at the same time, I just keep going back to Brian Kelly want to reset that clock.
All right, so what your prediction is Lane Kiffin to Florida, Brian Kelly to Penn State, John Summerall to Ole Miss, then who goes to LSU?
Damn it, man. Why'd you have to put out like prediction? I'm just putting out hypotheticals.
Hugh Freeze is fired, and then Auburn hires Buster Faulkner from Georgia Tech.
Or Brent Key. I'm just kidding.
Lincoln Riley comes back to LSU.
See, that's where I get a little interested. That's okay. And I'll be honest with you, because you have to think about it a good amount, because this is not 2021 again, where you had, the Notre Dame job, the Oregon job, Miami, USC, blah, blah, blah. We had 8 schools back then that had names. I think right now we're sitting here with 2 or 3 schools that are, I don't want to say one's bigger than the other. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but the prominent, like Florida, Penn State, and then, if LSU were to open, in my opinion, if that were the case and LSU were to open somehow, I think Lane would take the LSU job over Florida. Yeah. Florida would then have to go get Drinkwitz, and then Penn State makes a run at Trace Armstrong's client, Brian Kelly.
Jason McDonald says, any threat to Heupel getting poached? I don't think so. I think the name that you have to consider through all of this, and here's what's interesting. I don't think Florida or Penn State is enough to get the guy away from Oregon. I think LSU would be.
Don't disagree with you.
Dan Lanning is a wild. That's the Lincoln Riley type name here.
And there's going to be a move. I'm just warning folks. Like, I've talked to plenty of agents and athletic directors.
The girls are gossiping at the lunch table right now, my guy.
They're waiting for the big moment. I'm just telling you, it's coming, because what's happening is that we're entering this. We're already in this new era, but we're really in a new era with this rev share and house settlement and NIL where it is now. There's going to be a move that's made that's going to absolutely shock folks that you were not expecting. I have a couple in mind, but that's the Lincoln Riley of it all. That's what I totally agree with you. Right.
When Lincoln Riley left
Riley's got to
Oklahoma,
be tired of that shit at USC, man. That ain't working.
He got like an $80 million buyout. When Lincoln, what I mean is when Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma, he had been to like 3 straight playoff spots, won multiple Heismans, and everyone was like, "Why the hell is this guy leaving for USC?" That is the kind of move that is going to happen, I think, with either Florida or Penn State, and I think Brian Kelly going to Penn State would absolutely be the same thing that we're talking about here. I think that would qualify.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
You know, it reminds me as we wrap this part up. It reminds me of when all the conversation was Les Miles to Michigan before the SEC title game that year. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm talking.
Les had Jimmy work on every single opening in the country.
I know he did. But what I'm talking about is the names being floated. I expect to hear more of that in the next month. Get ready.
Go Tigers. Let's go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Anybody looking for a defensive line coach?
All right. M.L. Rose, everybody. 7 great locations. Your neighborhood pub. Great craft beer taps. The best craft beer taps from around the Southeast at M.L. Rose. They got 2-for-1s on Saturdays and Sundays. They got an SEC menu and wing specials on Saturdays. Tell your bartender or your server who your favorite SEC team is. We are keeping track of which SEC alumni base eats the most chicken wings. They have delicious, spicy chicken wings. One of the things I missed the most when I was traveling through Europe was good Southern barbecue and cooking, like fried chicken wings and barbecue. And I don't get any of that in Europe. You get it here in Nashville at M.L. Rose. So go check that out. All right.
Did you just really bitch about the food in Spain and Europe over being able for a week to not have barbecue?
No. I'm just saying there are certain things that we do better than everybody else. Craft beer. Well,
that's why they have Hard Rock cafes over there.
Craft beer. And it's funny, we were walking by and I was like, why is there this and this and this and this all in this area? And I look at her and like, oh, I guess people from like all over the world that come to these big cities in Europe, they're like, oh, this is where they get their American food because they're not coming to America.
The TGI Fridays, which
no free shout. Stop free shouting out to other people. They're not paying for that
shouting.
shit.
I'm not shouting. What I'm saying is that there was an M.L. Rose overseas. There was an incident when I went to London a few years ago. I asked for a Coke with ice, and they came out and they brought me 2 cubes of ice, and I got pissed off. And I was like, no, I need like a bucket of ice. That would be fantastic.
Why'd you get pissed?
Because they brought me 2 cubes of ice. Why'd
you act like an American?
I didn't get pissed. I just asked. I gave them a bigger tip for more ice. Whatever.
There we go.
Along with my accent.
Right. Ken Williamson. This is reported by Yellowhammer.com.
Yellowhammernews.com.
Well, Yellowhammer News reports yesterday that veteran official.
And I want to get the reporter right too. It was Grayson Everett. He deserves the credit.
He broke all the news that Ken Williamson, a veteran official of many, many years in the SEC, who was on the Georgia-Auburn game, has been permanently suspended, which, again, I think is a phrase we should all just be using more often. Permanently suspended. And so I got permanently suspended from Rivals.com in 2007. Have never been unsuspended by them for some strange reason. 11, according to the report, 11 incidents or citations were submitted to the league office about that game. You and I know you and Stillman, by the way, shout out to Jared for filling in last week. But you and I have not talked about that game. I actually don't think any of the calls were all that bad in the moment, but that's neither here nor there. We can discuss. That's a different one. That's a different one. He's talking. If for those who are watching, you can see him calling timeout the way Kirby Smart did in the third quarter, apparently.
Yeah.
So the Kirby Smart one is a mistake. That's like a genuine mistake, not like a 50-50 call that they got wrong. That's, to me, those are different things. The Oklahoma. Yes. Okay. The Oklahoma, where the Oklahoma player sneaks onto the field and the officiating crew gets the rule incorrect, that is a problem that needs to be addressed. The Kirby Smart timeout, a problem that needs to be addressed. 50-50 calls that the officiating crew on the field called one way, then the replay booth in the stadium called another or agreed with, and then the league office, which is where they review this stuff, the SEC office in Birmingham. If they all agreed on the calls, which granted were very 50-50 controversial-ish, could have gone either way. I love Sean McDonough. I think he's one of the best broadcasters in the world, but I thought he did a terrible job on that broadcast in the moment at the end of the first half in talking through the play at the goal line. But that's, again, neither here nor there.
Production truck, but go ahead.
The SEC, but McElroy, he just kept saying, like, I think he's over the line. It's like McElroy finally said at the very end of that 10 minutes, oh, it looks like the ball was punched out on the first punch. And I'm like, oh my God, I can see that from my couch in Tennessee.
No shit.
Anyway. according to the report, 9 out of the 11 citations or complaints were validated by the SEC. Now, number one, I'd love to know what ratio of complaints are validated for all the other complaints that teams submit to the league office. I think this is important context. Good point. By and large you submit 4 to 6 complaints about every game, and most of the time the league comes back and goes, yeah, we missed that, my bad, then this is not a huge story. It's certainly not one that's a suspension offense here for an official. If they are getting things incorrect, meaning like misunderstood the rule, then that is grounds for some sort of action or a termination. I think if the league, this feels, this is my opinion, Trey, you can go on this. I think this particular official is being scapegoated by the entire league to some degree, because it's not him who decides the call on the field when it goes to replay booth. It's the SEC office and it's the replay officials in the booth. And if they all agree, then why is it the guy on the field's fault?
I think, here's just me thinking, I think the SEC, outside of the 9 of 11 complaints or whatever that were verified, reportedly, I think the SEC found more inconsistencies in the game, and that's why he was punished more than he did
in one game.
No, I think there were a couple.
You're saying another game.
I'm speculating here. Okay, so nobody run to social media and shit. I think that they were pointed out.
I run to shit and then pull up social media.
Right, exactly. The bang bang play at the goal line. Like, the problem with that call was that it took about a minute when the play happened to figure out which way it went. Second of all, I think you took a Georgia touchdown. You prevented a Georgia touchdown from happening because the Georgia player was never on the ground. So when you blew the play dead while the ball was actually out, Georgia was running it back for 6.
Which wasn't Williamson. It was the back judge, right, who came up and was like staring right at it while the guy turned around and ran.
Right. I think you add that to it where they called it a fumble on the field, which it happens. It's a bang bang play. Like, right. I'm sorry. Like, mistakes happen in sports.
You don't get suspended on that fumble. That's an impossible play to call. Yeah.
Correct. I think it wasn't roughing the passer. It was the hit across the middle, targeting or whatever. So you can make a case for that. I think the nonsense with the Kirby clapping and saying that and I get here's the thing. Like, I understand what Kirby was saying because you could see the Auburn defender trying to initiate the snap infraction. But it's not as if that's what he was doing with the referee. He was calling a timeout to discuss that. And then the referee was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, you're not going to be called for a timeout, blah, blah, blah. I think look, if this were the case, and you're going to go back and you're going to look at all these plays and you're going to get all these refs and you're going to spend, okay, well, then that shit could happen every single week.
Yeah.
You could suspend a referee every single week. I think this was back damage and if it was, that sucks and it shouldn't have happened. And
then he shouldn't have been refereeing any games.
Right. And I think why the SEC has not said anything yet as we record this is because when they do, it opens up a massive can of worms about what goes on in the future. Because if somebody's going to bitch and complain about something that happens tomorrow or Saturday, okay, is that going to lead to a suspension?
Right. Do you know how this is all solved? You have open door, open book policy on analytics around officiating. It's something I think has been needed in football for over a decade. The NFL and the SEC and the Big Ten, and if you have enough money, you have high level data on every official. You have grades. You have grades not only as a team, as a unit, as an individual, but you have grades by call. You have this officiating crew gets this percentage of holding calls correct. This officiating crew gets this percentage of pass interference calls incorrect. They have all of it.
Yes.
NFL, the SEC, the Big Ten, those are the 3 big football entities. They have everything you would need to lay out in great detail why a particular official wasn't doing the job well. And when you see a crew get demoted or a crew get promoted, They don't say anything, but they have all the data on the back end to show them. Do I think officials should be available in the press conference setting? Yeah. Is that a little too much? Probably. but having the data be public information would not be that hard to do, because I think here's the weird side effect of it all, Trey. I think the officials do a freaking really good job.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult job. You know how many plays are in a football game these days? 160 plays?
Absolutely. Yes.
You have to spot the ball.
Nice.
You have to spot the ball with your eyeballs 160 times a game, and you get it right 158 of them.
Right.
That's incredible. That is like, I think if we actually saw the data and we're like, oh, this officiating crew gets pass interference calls right 94% of the time, the human element is the other 6%. And so, like, that's part of sports. And if you just have that transparency, you don't have, this story is not even an issue. You just go like, oh, he missed this one, and this one. The crew missed this one and this one. The replay booth missed this one and this one. He's fallen below a certain number and he doesn't belong. Now, if there's other things involved in this, that's a different story. If it's about bad officiating, then just show us the data, and then we don't have to have a discussion. You fall below 90% in any category, you're out of the game. That's it.
Well, here's my other thing too. Their fail-safe was the one that agreed with the call. Their fail-safe in Birmingham was the one that said, okay, yeah, we don't have enough either evidence to overturn it because they called it a fumble on the field, or you saw Jackson Arnold break the plane with the tip of the ball and it got over and it would have been a touchdown. Like, so I get the whole look, I get Auburn fans are pissed. I would probably be too, judging by the bang bang. I just hear me out here. But I think you're pissed at the wrong person, because sure, Williamson, whatnot, running the crew, head official that weekend, fine. Okay, I get it.
They didn't call the targeting on Gunnar Stockton on the ensuing drive on the field.
Right.
They reviewed it. That wasn't the crew on the field that called the play, and it was the right call. He knocked the shit out of his face.
Yes, and that's why I find it fascinating that, and you tell me where I'm wrong here, because as guys that covered this sport, I do find it fascinating that the SEC has not come out, and this story's been out for 24 hours now.
They can't. It's hard. There's no good thing to say on this.
Exactly.
There's no good, unless you come. Here's how I would do it. I'm their PR team right now. Herb, give me a call.
Okay. Herb, Craig, Chuck, I don't care.
Give us a call. Being an SEC official is an extremely difficult job, and we hold our officiating crews to the highest possible standard. And if we don't feel any official or crew is doesn't have the ability to deliver on that expectation of excellence, we have no choice but to reevaluate our positions. Period. End of release.
I don't disagree with you, and also throw something else at you. Does the officiating crews around the country that go to the ACC, the Big 10, Big 12, SEC, do they need to be a part of a different group? Meaning, like an NCAA level,
like a whole,
compared to being SEC, Big 10, Big 12 crews that just rotate around cities every single week.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's value. I think there's a lot of value, though, in knowing coaches and players on a personal, not like personal. I know I agree as a human, but like I've watched enough of this X type of like Josh Heupel. Like I've watched enough Josh Heupel's offense as an official that I know that this is what they do around this particular thing. And Andrew says 42% of calls are overturned via replay. That's fine. And I don't know what your implication is on that number, Andrew. What I'm saying is that there are 1,000 calls in a game. And if you get 995 of them correct, like that might be considered bad officiating, that you missed 5 out of 1,000. Like that.
Well, it's also another thing too. I didn't mean to cut you off, and I apologize, but it's also another thing how Kirby was able to talk his way out of that clapping bullshit, because he knows that sideline official.
I think that's the problem.
They know each other not personally. They're having Thanksgiving together, but they've seen each other on the roads in different games. Like, that's one of the reasons why. Like, do I think that should have been allowed? Hell no, because we all know what was going on. Right.
No, again, in my opinion, there's a difference between a human mistake on a 50-50 call, which literally could go either way, which you then have 2 or 3 tiers of approval or disapproval baked into your system in the M Stadium replay official, and then the SEC office, which is 2 more tiers of evaluation, and not knowing the rule book when a player steps onto the field in the Auburn-Oklahoma game. And honestly, a lot of this is just the compounding frustration of a coach on the hot seat who's 0-4 in the conference and a team that dealt with something against Oklahoma a couple weeks earlier that was an actual mistake that should get someone suspended. The timeout thing is an actual mistake. That's an actual misinterpretation or a mistake. Human error, human element of missed calls is part of the game. It's part of the game.
Bingo. And I don't think, well, I think it helped in this situation, but you had John Cohen, the AD at Auburn, literally running onto the field and berating the official as he went to the locker room. It's like, what, bro?
What are we doing? What are we doing?
What are you doing, man? Like, I know you might have car trouble coming up, but damn, don't take it out on the official.
All right. Are we good on this?
Yeah.
I want to hear more from the SEC office before I have any more to say. But all I know is all this is solved if you have transparency around statistics around success and failure of officiating individuals and crews. It's not hard to make it transparent.
We'll find out tomorrow or Saturday. I'm sorry, Saturday. I keep thinking today's Friday for some reason. You'll find out on Saturday if Ken Williamson is refereeing an SEC game.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, sunlight is the great disinfectant. Ole Miss at Oklahoma. So my first question is going to be Bama at South Carolina, Texas at Mississippi State, Tennessee at Kentucky. All 3 favored 9.5 points, 6.5 points, 12.5 points. All 3 in the playoff race right now. All 3 should win. Which one doesn't?
Say the last 2 again. You said Tennessee, Kentucky.
Tennessee at Kentucky, Texas at Mississippi State, and Bama at South Carolina.
Mississippi State. Texas.
Beats Texas. Okay.
Like I think that one would be the game out of any. I think Alabama's on a different level right now. I think Kentucky last week against Texas. I'm not trying to be that guy to Kentucky fans, and I'm sorry, but that was a deflating loss because you had Texas right there beaten. So I think that one. I think Tennessee will go in, take out some frustration on the running game.
I mean, Vegas agrees. Vegas agrees with you. Basically, all 3 of them just need to avoid the upset here. Ole Miss at Oklahoma, by the way, is the future permanent rivalry for both teams, which is a bit odd. Both offenses, I thought Georgia showed us what Georgia's all made of, which is you're not going to beat us in the fourth quarter most of the time, and that's a really impressive fourth quarter by Gunnar Stockton and the Georgia Bulldogs. John Mateer's still clearly not fully healthy, so that's an interesting one. Is that one less important to the playoff picture than Missouri and Vanderbilt or LSU and A&M?
I think the Ole Miss Oklahoma game is important for a lot of different reasons. It might not have to do with the CFP, but
you're talking about
the potential head coach down
Florida.
Florida. It's hard for me because if Ole Miss loses 2 in a row, that's a tough road to get into the CFP. Let's just be honest with each other here. But if
they win out, they're in though.
I agree.
If your only 2 losses are at Georgia and at Oklahoma, you're getting in.
I agree, but Ole Miss has had the tendency in the past to slip up and drop a game they're not supposed to.
Sure,
Kentucky. I'm going to go Vanderbilt, Missouri.
I don't think either of them, because here's Ole Miss. Ole Miss has South Carolina, Citadel, Florida, Mississippi State. Ole Miss could easily go 4-0.
Okay, yeah.
So my point is that they have the win over LSU. I mean, honestly, their resume is not much better than Vanderbilt's. Honestly, now that I'm looking at this, but I think Vanderbilt, Missouri just don't have the resume with the committee. I don't think the committee looks at their resume, and I think that's why this game is so important because the South Carolina. If you're
sitting at the end of the season, are you going to take a 10-2 Ole Miss team or a 10-2 Vanderbilt squad?
Well, you're saying they would have this is the difference. Vanderbilt would have a win over Missouri, and then let's say a loss to Texas, and then a win over Tennessee. That would be 10-2. That's more wins than Ole Miss might have. I see what you're saying.
Okay. Yeah, no. I know. I just.
All right, I'm coming around on how important it is for Ole Miss.
From a pressure standpoint as well. Oh, Brent Venables doesn't need to lose this football game.
No, but I think
he's gonna be fired or anything like that.
Oklahoma's schedule though is nasty. Like we talked about this. They already have the win over Michigan.
They're gonna go to Knoxville next week.
They've got Tennessee, Alabama, and Missouri, LSU. So like they're it's all ahead of them. They have to win, but it's hard, and so the committee will put Oklahoma in. I just think they could end up with 4 losses.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Oklahoma can catch 2 more L's, 3 more L's this season. I just think it. I think for all the chatter around Ole Miss, like this is a massive game for Lane Kiffin and them going out there. So, not trying to say one game is better than the other. I'm saying both are going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm just saying from an Ole Miss standpoint, it's huge. It really is. So but even talking about the Missouri Vanderbilt game, I think there's a lot on the line for Vanderbilt here because they need this win against another top-ranked opponent because of the remaining schedule left. Like, because I think Tennessee's going to catch 2 more L's.
I agree. I think Vanderbilt. I mean, they don't have a win. I mean, their best win is LSU, which I guess is the same thing Ole Miss has. I guess the difference is they can lose the Texas game and it not affect their playoff status if they beat Missouri.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, okay.
And I think Missouri's in the same boat. Like Missouri's wins aren't aging particularly well. They don't have a win over any ranked opponent. Missouri's resume is even worse right now. They have A&M, of course, at home, and then they go to Oklahoma, but then it's Mississippi State and Arkansas. And so if they lose one more time, let's say to A&M, and they have wins over Vandy and Oklahoma, I think that's enough to get them in, but maybe not. You got to have you have to have good wins.
And somehow Texas is already a 3.5-point favorite over Vanderbilt next week in an early line that's coming up. Like, how the hell is that possible right now? What have we seen for Texas? So, no, I
hear you.
Important, very important. And, I think Vanderbilt beats Missouri by 10 points on Saturday.
I think Vanderbilt's at home, and I think as long as they can protect the quarterback and handle the defensive ends for Missouri, which are very good.
Yes.
I think they're very similar teams. I think Vanderbilt wins.
Can Vanderbilt stop the rushing attack of Ahmad from Missouri? Like, that's
Andrew says Vandy's not that good. They're a 7-win team. I disagree, actually.
But that is okay. All right, that's the shit that agitates me, because if you look at Vanderbilt, don't turn the ball over twice in the Alabama red zone inside the 10-yard line, and that game's different. Again, I'm not saying Vanderbilt would have beaten Alabama. Okay, but what they did to LSU last week,
they've also destroyed people all season.
Yes, they've just beaten the shit out of people. Yeah. This is the mentality of folks with this Vanderbilt squad. So that's why, they're having to prove themselves and I get it. It's not lost on me.
Yeah,
they're having to prove themselves every damn week.
This ain't my father's Vanderbilt team. A&M and LSU. I want to say this before we go. A&M and LSU.
Fascinated.
I think it is the most underrated rivalry in the entire conference.
Agreed.
They hate each other. The I-10 cultural overlap is extraordinary. After Katrina, a lot of people from Louisiana moved to the Houston, Southeast Texas area. They've got history in other sports that goes back decades.
This is game.
And all of their games since coming to the SEC have been extraordinary. This is a fascinating football game. A&M has won 2 games by giving up over 40 points. LSU can't score. How healthy is Nussmeier? The defense is good. The crowd's going to be crazy. This has everything you could ever want in an SEC football game.
And it also has everything you would ever want if you're an LSU fan and you potentially want Brian Kelly to move on, because if the Tigers lose that game Saturday night, it's going to pick up down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Because this is a game LSU, in my opinion, should be within 3 points, 7 points at the fourth quarter, and maybe have a chance to tie it up or win. I just don't trust LSU right now. But then I don't
trust their offense.
They're playing in Death Valley at night. Shit's gonna get crazy. There's something voodoo-ish about playing at night down there. So
Vandy Chris says, I think Marcel Reed's gonna go off. That LSU defense did not impress him last week in Nashville. We shall see.
Well, I don't know if Whit Weeks is available either this week. So
I would take Oklahoma,
damn you, Landry,
Vanderbilt, and A&M, and I know that's 3 favorites. So
that's fine. I'll give you that. I'm going with Mississippi State over Texas, and then I'm taking Vanderbilt over Missouri, and I'm taking A&M over LSU.
A bet you cannot lose. M.L. Rose Neighborhood Pub. 7 great locations, great beer, great wings, great burgers. Fantastic place to go eat and watch ball, man. It's great. I'm telling you, come to Nashville. When you're here to visit, make sure you check out M.L. Rose. Trey, what do you got coming up at Outkick? Outkick.com. You can follow him on Twitter. Tell everybody what you got coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Just coverage of the upcoming weekend will be fun. We'll decide if we're making that trip over to M.L. Rose this weekend, which I will be stopping by if I do make my way over there. They have the Nashville Marathon this weekend, so my little brother's running in that, so might be coming over to watch
they
that.
really?
And yeah, and also
Sounds like
Vanderbilt,
something I
Missouri.
should know.
Yeah, and game day's going on too, so like that'll be fun, and it'll be a wild weekend. So a lot of coverage, college football. We did the Vitello thing yesterday. You can go back and read. I did have a personal article that I did put out. It was very fun to write that. I urge you, if you're a San Francisco Giants fan and somehow you stumbled upon this show, go go read that one. And yeah, other than that, we'll see if the SEC decides to comment on the Williamson thing, and then the Trey Wallace podcast that's out. So
that's right,
yeah, man, it'll be fun.
That's right. You can hear him there. Always a pleasure, my guy. Good to talk to you. Good to see you. Enjoy another week of college football. We will talk to you next week. M.L. Rose, everybody.